Hi, in this video, we will cover every step of the easiest and fastest way to add dedicated game server to any Unreal project. Edgap's Docker extension is the sole solution that helps you skip the highly unreliable process of building Unreal from source. Alongside this video, we recommend following our documentation. A link is available in the description and the comments. Let's get to it. There are 5 short requirements to set up your project. First is to create your free Edgap account. Simply head over to app.edgap.com, select your sign-in method such as Google or GitHub as shown here, and create your organization. The second step is to install and run Docker Desktop. Docker is used by millions of users and organizations. Just download it and follow the installation procedure. Third is to download Edgap's Docker extension using the link in the documentation or in the comments of this video or directly within Docker's extension marketplace. Select Install. After a few seconds of loading, the extension is now available to use. Fourth requirement is to access Unreal Engine's resources on GitHub. Epic Games itself outlined this process on their website. The short version is to log in or create a GitHub account. Then, within your Epic Games account, select the Linked Account menu and link your Epic Games account to GitHub, as shown on screen. Scroll down the license agreement and agree to the terms. Select Authorize Epic Game on the subsequent pop-up. Finally, you'll receive an email from GitHub, which asks you to join the Epic Games organization. Click on the link and select the Join Epic Games button. Finally, the last step is to generate your GitHub personal access token. Using the URL provided in our docs or in the comments, input a note for future reference and select the Read Package checkbox. Scroll down the page and click on Generate Token. Now on to Unreal. In this example, we'll use Unreal Engine's multiplayer sample, Lyra. To start, simply select the Add to My Library button. The sample will appear within the Epic Games Launcher under Unreal Engine's tab in the Fab Library section. Simply select Create a Project for Lyra or open your own personal project if that's what you're using. Here, we'll choose a project name and location on the computer. Then, select Create to initialize the project. After some time, the project appears in our Unreal library. Open it. This is Lyra with an Unreal Engine's editor. As to direct Unreal to which map should be used on the game server, we'll head to Project Settings, then select Maps and Modes, and finally, select Shooter Gym as the server's default map, like so. It may take a few seconds to load. Now, let's configure the project for Linux dedicated servers. First, open Edgap's Docker extension for game servers. Input your project's name and the Edgap token. If you don't have one from your account, select Get Quick Start Token, which opens your browser to Edgap's dashboard if you're logged in. Simply copy the token within the pop-up. Back in the extension, paste the token. Validate Token button should appear. Click on it to confirm its validity. Automatically, your platform selected, namely Unreal Engine. Add your project to the extension by selecting the Browse button and selecting the location of the project amongst your folders. Once selected, click on the Create Project button as to begin the Build Your Game Server phase. Automatically, the extension pre-fills the Unreal Engine version in use by your project. Now, input your GitHub account's username. Then, paste your GitHub personal access token generated earlier. It will automatically validate it if it's correct. Regardless of your machine's operating system, you will need to build your Linux server. To do so, we must disable Unreal Engine's version compatibility check for dedicated servers and set IPNet driver as the default driver or the fallback driver for replicating networking. Copy the code snippet from our documentation like so. Then, head over to the engine's default configuration file. Amongst your project, it should be found under the config folder and named defaultengine.ini. Open the file using your preferred IDE. Here, simply paste the full code snippet at the end of the file. Next, we have to create a dedicated server target script by copying the project's editor.target.cs file in the project's root folder and renaming the copy to project server.target.cs. Replace any references to the word editor with the word server in your server target script. With Lyra, we already have this target file. Let's just add this code snippet to enable logs in shipping builds. Concretely, this file should be found under your project's source folder as shown on screen. Here, named Lyra server.target. As you can see, there is no reference to the word editor, only server. If they were, simply swap them. We're ready to paste the code snippet at the end of the file. Get back to Edgecap's Docker extension as to validate the configurations were correctly inputted. Select the Validate Configuration button. If you have properly completed this step, all 3 configurations should have a green tick mark. This allows us to move to the game server build phase. Here, we can view or edit the Docker file, Docker ignore, and startserver.sh file. While useful, we'll keep everything to the default settings for this example. Next is your Docker build. This includes the image name and tag, both of which we'll keep to the default settings as well. Let's start building the project by selecting the Build Project button. As you can see, the process starts automatically, and after a few seconds or minutes, you've added dedicated game servers to your game. Congratulations! Once the build process is complete, we're ready to test the server locally. Select the latest version from the Tag drop-down menu. Then, simply select Start Local Server to deploy the server as a container on your Docker to play locally. To verify, we'll return to our Lyra sample. Selecting the drop-down menu next to the Play button, we'll select New Edit plus Window to generate a player. Back in the main editor, type in Open alongside your local container's port mapping. This is hard-coded to be 127.0.0.1 with the port 7777. Then, open the window created earlier, and the Lyra sample is connecting itself to the local containerized game server, proving it works as shown on screen. We'll stop playing in the editor and start the process to deploy the game server to Edgecap's Edge network. Return to the Docker extension and stop the local server. The final step is to deploy the containerized game server to Edgecap's platform. Select the version you want to deploy and click on Upload Image. After a few seconds, a new browser window opens up, which prompts you to create an application. The application's name is pre-filled, and you can select an icon of your choosing. Click on Create Application to continue. This is your game server's deployment parameters, including resource requirements. This can be customized, but we'll keep the default settings for now. Scroll down and select Submit. This is the Create a Port option, where a port and protocol can be selected. Once again, we'll use the default of 7777 and UDP protocol for now. Select Submit. Return once again in the Docker extension, and under the Edgecap application version, open the dropdown and ensure the name matches the deployment you just created. Click on Deploy to Cloud to deploy your game server. This is your deployment details window. Scroll down to find your host URL and the server's external port. Copy the URL. Return in the Unreal Editor. Once again, we'll select the New Edit plus window to generate a player. Now, type Open and paste the URL from the deployment detail page. And there you have it, Lyra is functional. Congrats, you're playing your multiplayer online. Optionally, you can return to the Docker extension and stop the deployment for testing. That is all for Edgecap's Docker extension for Unreal Engine, which empower game developers with a simple way of adding and managing game servers online. The likely next step in your game development will be to automatically start and stop servers and to connect players. For more information on Edgecap's free, simple, and fully automated matchmaker, you can check out our tutorial. Thanks for watching.